Welcome to the Valley Sports Plug Cardinals recap for Week 2. We got the Arizona Cardinals in Las Vegas taking on the Raiders. It is Sunday, September 18th, excuse me. Wow, what a game. It ended 29-23 in overtime, the Cardinals finishing it off. If you haven't heard about this by now, I don't know where you've been, but we're here to give you our perspective on it, give you some facts and some stats. Glad you're here with us. Make sure you follow us on social media at Twitter and Instagram at AZ_VSP, over on YouTube where you're watching here, Valley Sports Plug, and on Facebook, Valley Sports Plug. Also on, TikTok now, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
And how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man, especially after today. It was a fun one, but hey, we lived up to our name, Cardiac Cardinals, so I'm ready to dive into this one and take a look back.
Man, that's the best way to put it, because when you look at the stats, outscored 20-0 in the first half, didn't look good early. The only positive note, I think, was a J.J. Watt sack early on and his impact coming off that injury and being out in week 1. Definitely needed him on the defensive side, and the defense really showed up to work today. Outside of the first half, they did get it rolling, though, in the second half when they outscored the Raiders 3-29, including the second half and overtime. There was a lot of crazy plays. Kyler Murray had a 2-point conversion where he scrambled for over 20 seconds and ended up running it in himself. That set up a big end of the game where they were on the ropes. A fourth down play resulted in a defensive holding with 16 seconds left that gave the Cardinals a fresh set of downs. They were able to get it in the end zone there and score to send it into overtime with the 2-point conversion. Man, just really unbelievable. You look at some of the stats. It was Kyler Murray, a lot of passing attempts, 49 attempts, completed 31 of those passes for 277 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. That interception came at a very inconvenient time at the end of the second half, or at the end of the first half, where the Cardinals were really driving. Kyler rolls out to the right and throws really a questionable pass right to the defense. They were able to take it down and get 3 points and going into the half off of that. So it could have been 17-0 at half, instead 20-0, but it didn't matter in the end. A couple other highlights and standouts here. Williams had 59 carrying yards on 8 rushes for 1 touchdown. James Conner went out with the injury, notably after just 7 rushes for 25 yards. Zach Ertz had 75 yards on 8 receptions. Hollywood Brown, 6 receptions for 68 yards. And Greg Dortch really shining, 4 carries for 55 yards and 1 touchdown. Definitely needed that a bit. A guy that I was disappointed in, I just got to interject some opinion here. AJ Green really didn't show out like he needed to, was missing a lot of the opportunities where he would have probably made those catches in Cincinnati. He did show up when it mattered and made a few plays that we needed him to down the stretch, but we'll hear what Mike has to say about that. I see him shaking his head over there. But before I do, just a few highlights on the other side for the Raiders. Derek Carr also slinging 25 of 39, completed 25 of 39 attempts, had 2 touchdowns himself. Josh Jacobs, they were able to hold him on his 19 carries, only got 69 yards, so 3.6 yard average. I believe his average was over 6 yards in his first game. So the Raiders were really shut down in the second half. Like I said, the Cardinals defense showed up. There was one notable stat I wrote down here in preparation, and that is that in the first half of games so far this season, in the first 2 games, the Cardinals have been outscored 7-43. So they need to clean that up. They need to come out stronger, in my opinion. And that way, when they have these strong second halves, they're just finishing off games instead of clawing to get back in them. But Mike, what did you see out there? What was your perspective on the Cards this week?
Talk about the epitome of a tale of 2 halves. I thought we were going to have to come in today to have the similar type of conversations that we had in week 1 against the Chiefs. Lackadaisical effort, starting off slow, putting yourself behind the 8 ball and basically having to scratch and claw back within this game. The first half, one of the first things I noticed was Isaiah Simmons really wasn't on the field, only on 3rd downs. The green dot has been changed over to Zaven Collins. I think that's because Isaiah Simmons has been placed a lot of different places on the field. So if you can have that inside linebacker be that guy making those calls, you can get it to everybody a little bit quicker. Um, you know, talk about uh, 4 plays from the Cardinals with about 11 minutes left in the second half or in the second quarter. Derek Carr had 1 incomplete pass in the first quarter. It just seemed like we were shooting ourselves in the foot. We had an intentional grounding by Kyler Murray where he's trying to make the plays to save the day and ends up making a boneheaded play that basically ended up killing a drive. Unfortunately, we didn't get a late hit call on Max Crosby. That could have been the case. But then things compound, right? We have a bad snap on the punt, and the Raiders start at their own 42, so they're already in great field position. We're looking to make a stop. I think we're down 10-0, 3rd and 10 on the 26-yard line, and we give up a 25-yard screen play to Amir Abdullah, a guy who was barely holding on to a position in this league, was the same draft as David Johnson, and we know kind of what's been going on with him as well. It looked like Greg Dortch was our only weapon out there on offense in the first half. And, just boneheaded plays that were compounding us and killing us, any kind of momentum we had. And then it all flipped. And it's because of Kyler Murray. What have we been talking about, which was going to have to be the person that leads us to success this year, especially this first 6 weeks without DeAndre Hopkins? It's going to have to be Kyler Murray. The expectations this year is to probably be a top 3 finish within the MVP conversation. And man, did he do it today. Keeping plays alive, making the right decisions. It's always funny to see him kind of try and get out on those scrambles, especially when he's trying to save himself and he looks like he's going to fall down for a second.
Yeah.
And then just somehow miraculously keep his feet and look downfield and make the right plays. He really put us on his back today. But he wasn't alone, especially like you said, in that second half. The defense finally showed up. They only gave up 3 points in that second half. They held Devontae Adams to, I believe, 2 catches for 12 yards after a huge week 1 he had with the Las Vegas Raiders. It's something to keep in mind for tomorrow or for next week when Cooper Kupp and the Los Angeles Rams are, the ones we have to match up against. But it was the tenacity of this team and the will to really fight back and give themselves an opportunity to win this game. Greg Dortch had a great punt return, putting us almost back to midfield to give us that, opportunity. I know we talked about AJ Green and a little bit of the disappointment as well with that key 3rd and 4, down in the red zone that he dropped, which was an easy ball to have. Same thing when Kyler was rolling out to his right and he missed that one in the end zone. But when we had to have it, and we had to get that 2-point conversion, he came up clutch. And it seemed like the guys who were struggling for most of the game made the right plays and the big plays when we needed them. Talk about Zaven Collins punching the ball out. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But then the next time, Isaiah Simmons, a guy who was benched, only playing on 3rd downs, forces that fumble, and Byron Murphy scoops it up and finishes to probably what is the most exciting game we've seen since that Seattle Seahawks game, Isaiah Simmons' rookie year, when he had that pick to put us in position to kick that game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
But Byron Murphy, he probably knows now it took way too long for them to look at that final play because it looked like he might have thrown the ball out the back of the end zone before he crossed the plane. So I'm sure he'll
be
think
doing
twice the next time. But, Chris, my final thoughts on this game is if you want to be a team that wins in this league, you have to find ways to pull out games exactly like this and be gritty and guts and have the guts and do everything you can to keep your team within winning strike. And that's what we did today. We're going to still stick with the mantra. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. We'd definitely be having a different conversation if this one didn't go our way. but the
Mm-hmm.
chips fell our way, and we'll take it. So hopefully we can keep this momentum going into week 3.
Absolutely, I agree. Momentum is huge in sports, and what you said about Kyler Murray especially, he needs to continue his momentum in playing at a high capacity and leading this team and showing what he is capable of and what he's been paid to do. Not only was it a good win today, it was a good road win. We were on the road. We went into Las Vegas and we got that. So we're back at home next week against the Rams. The line is already at minus 4.5 for the Rams to beat us at home. So we really got to make a statement. Everyone in the division is 1-1. It is still up for grabs. It is still early in the season. So we can't sit on this win and count too much. There's a lot they can dissect and learn from it. Still a lot of mistakes. Like I said, cleaning up those first halves so we can come out and put ourselves in a better position to maintain a lead or be in a game rather than clawing our way back in the game. But that's all I really have to say about it. We'll be back here next week in week 3, like I said, for the Rams game, recapping that as well. VSP Tallman might be back with us by then. We will see. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, follow us, AZ_VSP, Twitter and Instagram, Valley Sports Plug, YouTube and Facebook. We are out.
Viva Las Vegas, baby.